actually talk about, because I have a scholarship workshop, as far as the essay, you can recycle it. And some people don't know that. So it's so many different tips, but you're absolutely right. I mean, that was one of the problems that we had. One of our students he got a full ride to Morehouse. Morehouse sent my check back. I'm like it was like a good problem to have, but like
right. But in the meantime, it is time to meet my very first guest tonight. She is Khadijah Butler, and she's doing some amazing things for students and helping them to get financial help for college. So let's go ahead and meet Miss Khadijah. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you, Dr. Rhonda?
Wonderful. It's so good to see you tonight. I want to thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. So talk to me a bit about the scholarship. What's it all about?
So the Khadijah Butler Scholarship Foundation, it's a memorial nonprofit that honors my father. My father was murdered by a 14-year-old in 1999. Mm-hmm. And so in his honor, I provide scholarships to African-American high school seniors. It used to just be for Philadelphia, but we just recently expanded to Camden County. We have 10 scholars to date. And I'm going to stop talking for right now.
Now, what does a student need to do to qualify for the scholarship?
So besides being African-American, you have to have a GPA of at least a 3.0. We do have a scholarship application packet that's out, but on top of that, an essay, 2 letters of recommendation. We waived the SAT, ACT policy since a lot of colleges were doing that anyway, unless the university still requires it. And your transcripts. And that's pretty much it. Like the scholarship is based on those that are affected in the aftermath of gun violence. But the other part of it is it doesn't necessarily have to be the requirement.
That's interesting. So you have a very specific audience that you're going after for this scholarship.
Correct. It's very specific. As I said before, since we are expanding to Camden or Camden County, I think my biggest thing for me that I always say is that I don't want the Ashley Banks. I want the Lucretias. I want the Rashidas. I want the Malcolms, the ones that are truly blessed. Because the reality is that we're really narrowing that gap. Like if they did not have the economic circumstances, they would be on the same playing field as every other person. And so that's really sort of been my motto, to really highlight those that don't have the economic circumstances, but just changing that narrative that Black excellence does exist.
Before we go into the book, let's talk a little bit more about the scholarship. Is it too late for a student to apply for this scholarship?
So we're starting our scholarship year for 2025 on September 4th. So it opens up at the beginning of every high school year, and then it ends in mid-April. So we have the dates. I believe it's September 4th, going all the way up until April 15th, but it's that Friday. So the application itself will open up. I'm registered on pretty much all of the scholarship boards. You can find it on my website, Scholarships 360. It's out there.
Oh, so that's an idea. That's something I've never even thought about doing, is putting the scholarship on the scholarship boards like Scholarships 360 and so forth. You can just post your scholarships there for students to find.
I will say there may be 1 or 2 that may ask you to pay, which I haven't had to. But on the scholarship boards for me is where I feel like that's where the biggest visibility is. And then recently I partnered with Scholarships 360 because they really brought a lot of candidates, to us, for those that are like, hey, I don't feel like mailing anything in. It might take too long to email certain things. So that, and it's an app called Moz. I think that's how I'm pronouncing it, where again, the students are, the less amount of time I have to physically write something, I can apply directly on the app. So I'm finding different ways of like making sure it's visible.
That's a great idea. I'm stealing that idea from you.
Okay. Okay. You need any help with it, I got you. And that's
when I was a high school senior, I was so tired of writing essays. I said, I'm not applying for these scholarships. If I was going through the scholarships and found somebody talking about they wanted an essay, I was like, I'm not applying. I was lazy. I don't want you to be like me. So students, get out there and apply for these scholarships. And you know what? I learned my lesson because see, my daughter, because she didn't have to pay for college because I'm a retired veteran, and so she was able to go to school on my benefits. She was like, I'm not applying for any scholarships. And then she didn't apply for scholarships. And then here she comes asking me for money when she gets in the middle of school. Yeah, you don't have to pay for school, but there's some books you still need to pay for. There's activities that go on that you still need to pay for.
It's your
So make
transportation,
sure.
the labs, all of that.
Exactly. There are so many things that you need to pay for, even if you have a full ride scholarship. I was, as you know, I was in the military and I was stationed in Belgium, and I used to give scholarships through my sorority. And at first, I was a little dismayed because the students who were applying for the scholarships, I felt like they didn't need them because I had one young lady who had gotten a full ride scholarship, and then I had an international student who he was going back to his country for college, and he was going to school for free. I'm like, they don't need my little $1,000, but I kind of find out that they actually did, because even though the young lady got a full ride scholarship, she still had to pay for books.
Yep.
She still had to pay for, like I said, activities. And the young man was the same way. He might have been going to school free, but there were so many other things that he needed to pay for.
Yeah.
So they needed that money. So I'm saying all of this to say that, and I'm really almost talking to the parents as well. Parents, make sure your kids are applying for these scholarships. Make them sit down and not be lazy like I was, saying I don't want to do this, because I'm telling you that money comes in handy. There are so many unexpected expenses that come up, and
Yes.
often we forget. We don't think about them until we're in the midst of it.
Yeah. And that's one thing I actually talk about because I have a scholarship workshop. As far as the essay, you can recycle it. And some people don't know that. So it's so many different tips, but you're absolutely right. I mean, that was one of the problems that we had. One of our students he got a full ride to Morehouse. Morehouse sent my check back. I'm like it was like a good problem to have. But like you said, I found a way to just say, what else do you need? And that was the end of it.
Absolutely. I mean, just like Mark said, any scholarships that are eligible, they need to jump on it ASAP. And I don't know if you saw Lisa, she wants to donate to both of our scholarships.
Oh.
So I'm going to need you to DM Miss Elisa Daniels McLish on Facebook and talk with her about your scholarship fund.
Yes, I definitely will. Thank you.
Yes. Make sure that you get in contact with her. She is a very, very supportive lady. I love her to death. She is my sister.
Okay.
Yeah, she said if you don't want to respond on the platform, you can DM her.
Okay. Look, I'll get at you. Trust me.
Amen.
My first planner, I don't know if everybody can see it. It's the CDB Scholarship Monthly Planner. It has, so every month, there's at least a scholarship in here every other day.
Wow.
But it's really an organizational tool. There's over 150 nationwide scholarships, again, not just for high school students, but for kindergarten through 12th grade students. So even as I saw the note that was there, some people get scholarships as they're starting out. This really begins to get you in that organized state of mind to say, I'm going to apply for something, I don't know, once a month or during like my holiday or whatever the case may be. And then my second one, it's the college edition. So this is interesting because, first of all, the first planner, I should say, came out of, I had a workshop. And one of the students was like, hey, I know there's a million places that I can find these scholarships, but I need something physically in my hand. My dad is old. He doesn't feel like going online. I'm like, okay. So he wanted something for his son to be accountable to hold and say, hey, did you do this? Did you check these things off? And so the college planner came because I actually did a book signing at Essence, and there were so many college students, and like, parents, women who had children and dropped out, and was like, hey, do you have anything for us? And that's how that started. So
wonderful. Wonderful. And these books are well, there's another book on the
yeah.
laying the foundation.
Yeah, so this is actually how everything all started. Laying the foundation brick by brick it's basically a step by step on how to start a nonprofit and how to start a scholarship foundation. But it's also in my around the way Philly girl, like not to make it boring for people, right? Because
Yes.
the thing was, I could not find any information on how to start it, on what steps to take. So not only does it have, it's my healing tool, like me really speaking about my father's death and kind of overcoming it, but
Mhm.
starting the foundation, getting your 501c3, and then towards the end, I add some little, I call them jewels, like inside of the book, but I add things in there like the bylaws and different links that you can go to for like the scholarship boards and things like that. So it's a tool as well. Like through education, I'm using in the books to find a way to give back on so many levels.